Alright my fellow agents, welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and as we roll into next week my friends, I want to bring you a video really quick highlighting 3 of my favorite Pestilence builds to use in the game. Now in full transparency, if you've seen my Pestilence builds over the last week and a half, you've already seen these videos. However, a lot of you out there reach out telling me that you enjoy when I put these compilation videos together, and not only that, I promised I would actually post all 3 builds in one video, so that's exactly what you're getting today. Now I will leave timestamps in the video description, that way you can bounce in between the builds anytime you want, and please do me a favor. Let me know in the comment section which of these builds do you prefer using most, and if you look at them and say, you know what, these are all shit, man, I'd rather do something else, let me know what that something else is. And I know as I say that, a lot of you out there are going to reference the fact that I should use glass cannon on the chest as well, meaning just another option, and you're totally right. I need to just, again, branch out, my friends. That's all I got for this introduction. I also want to mention we are just over 500 subs away from hitting that 100,000 mark here at the channel. So if you have not as yet and you enjoy this thing, consider hitting that sub or join button as well. Thank you once again for everything. And with that being said, let's cut right to the footage. Starting with the specialization, I'm using Gunner. Doing that for the typical reasons. You get that extra armor on kill, you get a reload speed increase, you also have access to the Banshee Pulse if you choose to use that. You will also get an extra rate of fire increase upon kill, you get some extra weapon handling when you're in cover for more than 1 second, and always remember, please make sure you have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree, that way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. Even if you don't intend to switch weapons, just make sure the right ones are activated. Alright, so moving on to the primary weapon, you can see I'm using the Pestilence. This is one of my go-to weapons in the game. It has damage to targets out of cover, damage to armor, and this has the Talent Plague of the Outcast, where hits applied to buff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. It stacks up to 50 times, and whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, 100% of the stacks are transferred to a nearby enemy within 25 meters. As far as the secondary and sidearm is concerned, it's totally up to you, but I do want to mention my Pestilence is at expertise level 30. It's one of those few weapons in the game where I decided, to actually spend the time and resources to level this thing up because I use it all the damn time. Now moving on to the gear itself, you can see we're running 1 Cheska, 1 Petrov, 1 unit alloys, and 3 of the Langmo brand set. Now we're running 3 because we are targeting that 3rd brand set bonus, which is 30% LMG damage. Next we have the body armor, it's the 2nd piece of Langmo. And as you can see, we are using the Talent Obliterate, where critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 20 times. Right below that, we have the holster. Now for me, I love using the Salvo holster because when you have this specific one equipped, you're getting an extra 10% rate of fire, and I just really like that. As a solo player, even if I'm running in a group, you do have a lot of different options. You could use a piece of Grupo, you could use another piece of, let's say, Petrov. Again, try out different variations, see which one you enjoy more. Continuing on to the knee pads, it's the 1 piece of Cheska, and you can see these are the named knee pads, the Turmoil, which you can farm for right now during the Cherry Blossom event. I'll talk about that in a moment. You can see these have the Talent Bewildered. When dealing weapon damage to an enemy, 50% of the damage dealt will be dealt to another enemy within 30 meters. Instead, when there are no enemies nearby, deal damage normally, and this does not apply to armor plates. Now in the meantime, if you do not have these, use Fox's Prairie knee pads, they will still get the job done. They handle differently, you're only going to be doing damage to 1 enemy. But that's something you can definitely use in this build and still be able to take out NPC pretty damn quick. Right after that we have the gloves. It is the 1 piece of Petrov, that is going to be the Contractor's gloves. We're using that for 2 main reasons. First of all, we get that extra 10% LMG damage bonus, and we also have that middle attribute, 8% damage to armor. And last but not least, my friends, we have the backpack. It is the 3rd and final piece of Langmo. It's the named bag, the Backbone, with its Talent Perfectly Unstoppable Force, where killing an enemy increases total weapon damage by 7% for 15 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, for me, I love using the Salvo holster because I like to get that extra rate of fire bonus, but a lot of you out there may want weapon handling instead. So what I recommend doing is switch your body armor to a piece of Petrov. That 2nd piece is going to give you an extra 15% weapon handling bonus. And then you're going to switch your holster to that 3rd piece of Langmo, so you do get that extra 30% LMG damage bonus as well. Basically, it does not matter what pieces you have where, just make sure you do have 3 pieces of the Langmo brand set equipped. Finally, I want to mention the fact that in the gameplay footage you're about to see, I do not have any global modifiers active whatsoever, and the main reason for that is to ensure that whenever you see this build, you know exactly what it can do without any special events going on. Hope this helped you out, my friends, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage and a few final thoughts. As always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Hello once again, my fellow agents. I hope you're doing well in this fine day. What are your plans this weekend? For me, it is Saturday, which means a trip to Costco like we do every damn week. God, spend so much money. Anyway, whatever. Moving on. Let's talk about farming for the turmoil knee pads. As most of you may know, or hopefully you know, right now we have the Cherry Blossom event going on. It is live until May 12th. And the only way to get these knee pads is by farming for keys, taking out the Katsunabe squads. If you have no idea how to do that, I'll leave a link to a video I posted when this thing first began. And then what you're going to do with those keys, you go to the vendor at the base of ops, and then you buy gear caches, and hopefully you get these knee pads to pop out of one of them. Now, having said that, it takes me to the actual drop rate of keys, and since this event began, it's kind of been a hot mess, right? We've had a lot of different iterations of the key drops, and there's been a farming thing and whatever. So let me know what your farming has been like. For me, it's been pretty damn bad. I can't pretend that it's not. And one question I know a lot of you have, because you've sent it to me here at the channel, is that, after the success of the winter event, why didn't the game just roll off of that momentum and just build off of that? I don't have an answer for you. I wish I did. I'm not a fan of this 10-minute spawn cooldown mechanic, whatever it is. It just kind of messes up your whole gameplay. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think? Finally, a lot of you have reached out asking me to put together different builds around escalation. Here's a fun story, right? As you can see right now, this is at tier 0. The reason I'm playing at tier 0 is that the last 4 times I tried playing escalation, the game crashed. I lost my tokens, so I'm not really leaning into that right now until certain things are fixed. I'm just being fully transparent, my friends. I'm never gonna bullshit you. You know what I mean? And to be clear, that does bum me out because I really love the challenge of playing escalation, especially when you're rolling in a group. But with the instability of the crashing and then losing coins, I don't know. There are a lot of things that need to be fixed, my friends, but I'm going to be right there with you until they are handled. That's all I got for this video. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and I will see you in the next one.
Give him an earpiece and get him on comms.
Well, that's a load of shit. Kill every last one of those fuckers. I want them dead. Roach, our gear supply will dry the fuck up if word gets back to the rest of the council that we lost the president. We'll get him, ma'am. Fuckers aren't going anywhere but down.
And I've chosen that for the following reasons. You get some armor on kill, a reload speed increase, you have access to the Banshee Pulse, you get some extra rate of fire, some weapon handling when you're in cover, and always remember to make sure you have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. Now my primary weapon for this build is the Pestilence. This has quickly become one of my favorite items in the game without a doubt. If you're looking for the different ways to farm boar exotics, I'm going to leave a link to a video I posted a few days back talking you through everything you need to know. Now, as you can see, this has the talent Plague of the Outcast. And with that talent, hits applied, a buff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. It stacks up to 50 times. Whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, 100% of the stacks are transferred to a nearby enemy within 25 meters. Now, when it comes to the secondary, you can use whatever weapon you want. And as far as the sidearm is concerned, if you have the quick step, I recommend using that because when that weapon is in your hand, you get that extra 20% movement speed bonus. Now moving on to the gear itself, you can see we're running 1 Petrov, 1 Overlord, the Overdog's gloves, and 3 of the Lengmo brand set, which is what we're starting with. Now we're using 3 so we get that 3rd brand set bonus, which is that 30% LMG damage. Now I know at this very moment, a lot of you out there are saying, why not use the Tipping Scales gear set? Well, guess what? Spoiler alert, that is going to be the next build I show you in a moment. Next we have the body armor, my friends, 2nd piece of Lengmo, and you can see we are using the talent Obliterate, where critical hits are going to increase weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 20 times. Right after that, we have the holster. It is the 1 piece of Petrov that's going to give us that extra 10% LMG damage bonus. And one thing I'd like to point out really quick is you will notice that a lot of these pieces are not fully optimized as yet, so there's definitely room for improvement. Next, we have the knee pads. It's the 1 piece of Overlord. We're using Fox's Prayer knee pads for that middle attribute, 8% damage to targets out of cover. Another great option is using the Turmoil knee pads, and thankfully you can farm for them right now during this Cherry Blossom event. Next we have the Overdog's gloves. I know a lot of people out there are still trying to get these things. I will leave a link to a farming video on how to get them in the description down below. You can see these have the talent weakest link, and that is going to amplify weapon damage by 30% to the lowest ranking enemy currently in combat as per the tier hierarchy. If you don't have these gloves in the meantime, I recommend using Contractor's gloves. They will definitely get the job done. Last but not least, my friends, we have the backpack. It is the 3rd and final piece of Lengmo, and we are using the Backbone backpack with its talent Perfectly Unstoppable Force. Killing an enemy increases total weapon damage by 7% for 15 seconds. That is going to stack up to 5 times. As far as the skills are concerned, I'm using the Banshee Pulse and the Reviver Hive, and when we take a look at the numbers, you can see I'm sitting at 57% crit hit chance. Remember the max is 60, and 116.4 crit hit damage. And once again, remember those numbers are going to be dependent on not only the gear you have equipped, but having a Shade Watch of level 1000. That now takes us to the next build I'm going to highlight, and as you can see, we are running 4 Tipping Scales, the Overdog's gloves, and 1 piece of unit alloys. Starting with the mask, it's the first of 4 pieces of Tipping Scales. We're running 4 so we get all of the gear set bonuses. The 2 pieces 30% magazine size, 3 pieces 30% LMG damage, 4 pieces throttle control, where shooting build stacks to a max of 50, and each stack provides 0.5% weapon handling and 4% crit hit damage. Lose 6 stacks per second while not shooting, and no stacks are lost if an enemy is suppressed. Next we have the body armor. It's the 1 piece of unit alloys, and we're using the named body armor, the Equalizer, with its talent Perfect Obliterate. But having said that, I would much rather roll with the piece of Petrov on the chest because that's going to give me an extra 10% LMG damage bonus, and I would use the regular talent Obliterate. But unfortunately, I can't show you that because that's the 1 piece of gear I accidentally deleted. So guess who has to farm for that shit all over again? This guy right here. Alright, right after that we have the holster and the knee pads, 2 more pieces of the Tipping Scales gear set. After that, once again, we have the Overdog's gloves, and as I said previously, if you don't have these, you could use Contractor's gloves in its place. Last but not least, we have the backpack, and because we're wearing a Tipping Scales bag, we have access to the talent Snowball, and that is going to increase the crit hit damage received per stack from 4 to 7. Definitely want to use that thing. Once again, I'm using the Reviver Hive and the Banshee Pulse. And as we make our way to the gameplay footage, I want to mention I do not have any global modifiers active whatsoever, and the reason I do that is to ensure that whenever you see this build, you know exactly what it can do without any special events going on. Hope this helped you out, my friends, and as always, questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage and a few final thoughts. As always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mentioned at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Hello once again, my fellow agents. I hope you're doing well on this fine day. Again, I apologize for my voice, but I've been sick like for the last 4 or 5 days and I just can't kick the thing. You know, it's just annoying more than anything. Anyway, hopefully you will have some free time this weekend to do some farming. Ideally pick up the Lexington, the Turmoil if you don't have those as yet. Also, do me a favor, let me know, have you seen any difference in regard to the key drop rates when you're farming the Kitsunabe squads? I always mess that up. Yeah, I'm just a hot mess right now. Anyway, what has it been like for you? Have you been getting any keys whatsoever? For me, it's really been hit or miss. And again, you can farm the keys on any difficulty that you want. It doesn't matter. But on a personal note, I do not see any difference whatsoever since they have buffed the drop rates for keys. I haven't seen any change, you know. And in my opinion, you know, when it comes to that whole unlimited Ronin farm that was going on in the game, I think they should have left it. And I know as I say that some of you are thinking, well, why leave that, whatever, because people were just having fun. You know what I mean? People were having fun. They were getting tons of keys. They were getting prototype gear. They were just doing a bunch of stuff. And that's a really good thing. You know what I mean? We have a lot of players playing right now. The game is in a very healthy space as far as, you know, player count is concerned. And in my opinion, when you have something like that players are enjoying, just let it marinate for at least a few days. You know what I mean? Let people hear about it, let people try to use it for a little while, and then if you want to pull it a few days later, go for it. But I don't know. These are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. Oh, I also need to mention that in the gameplay footage you're looking at, I'm using the first build that I highlighted. That's all I got for this thing, my friends. Thank you once again for everything, and I will see you in the next one.